Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Jenna Cottrell alongside, I'm Dan Fates. Mike Catalana back in studio. I don't care. Why did I even talk about Mike? Hey everyone, welcome. Hey everyone, in 3, 2.
You're killing me.
3, 2. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Dan Fates alongside Jenna Cottrell here inside the Bills Fieldhouse as the Bills practiced inside today. We will recap what we saw, who practiced, who didn't. Weather could be a factor coming up this weekend, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We will start with the most important and talked about elbow in all of Western New York, and it was Josh Allen's. He was limited in practice today, Jenna, but we didn't see him throw a football.
It was so funny. If you look at your video on Twitter, you see Josh like drop back in practice, and he just goes through the mental reps. But I felt like it was all of us when we see like needing to do the dishes and laundry and, putting stuff away where you're like, yeah, no, I'm right there. Mentally, Allen going through those reps. Again, this was for the media portion of practice. We don't know if after the reporters left, if
Correct.
he was throwing the football, but he is limited. Sean McDermott said it's going to be a day-by-day type of plan, but I think with anything, he's coming back from an injury. They're trying to be safe, but it kind of looked funny if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's obviously because we saw him out there in full pad, so we're expecting to see him throw, and then I'm filming him and he just never threw a football.
Yeah.
And Josh said again that they're taking it one day at a time, seeing how he responds. Sean McDermott said last week they were going to use common sense. So,
yeah.
But Josh, I thought was interesting. Obviously, he didn't come out for pregame warmups, which was something that a lot of us, especially at the game, were waiting to see. And Josh was asked why and if that threw him off.
Yeah, and he just talked about like he didn't feel the need to be out there, which for those of you who are watching right now, you might be like, yeah, that's not that surprising. But when we tell you that football players are creatures of habit, like they like to have their breakfast at a certain time, like they like having and adhering to a schedule.
Yep.
So not having Allen out there was pretty interesting to see because it was like, is he playing? Is he not playing?
Yeah.
It felt very dramatic. But Allen said it didn't affect him. He didn't feel like it did have an effect on him being out there. But it was just an interesting note because we've really never seen that before.
Well, and it's Josh saying he needs to be smart, knowing that he even kind of said he's like, I can't do something stupid in walkthroughs or, throw it too far or too hard. And this is going to linger. We saw him again with the brace on. He said it's not something you think about in the game, but I think it's something that does distract you a little bit during the week and your preparation.
Yeah.
Moving over to that, we talked about the red zone issues and the Josh Allen highs and lows, the roller coaster that we've talked about. In his last 3 games, he has 4 red zone interceptions. In the previous 67 games, he had 2 of those. Yeah. So it's
not great.
It's not great, Bob. And one of the things you asked him was, how do you mentally overcome that?
Yeah, because he is the player that he is because he will, put the ball in extremely tight windows.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to take those risks, all those things. So it's like, how do you refine that without changing who you are? And he just talked about like being smart but not conservative.
Correct.
And I think that is a huge thing. And I was like, does that get in your head at all? And he was like, no, because I think it's so much of what he does. He's made those mistakes. And even Deion Dawkins was asked after practice today, like those holding calls, those interceptions, those things that happen, how do you clean those up? And he's like, that is a part of the game.
That's a football game.
That is what you have to learn from as well. I have all the confidence in the world in Allen. I think he is the hardest person on himself. That being said, we were talking in the media room today at One Bills Drive, and it was like, and we were having a disagreement between reporters of like, is this a crisis point for Josh Allen? I don't think it's as far as a crisis. I think it's a concern. It's a concerning trend, but what happens in the month of December will kind of dictate, in my eyes, if this is a crisis. Is Josh Allen's confidence shaken? I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I think this has been this last 3 weeks, really, the second half of the Packers and on, has been an opportunity for this team to be humbled. And in the NFL, it's about you're either humble or about to be humbled. Yeah. And I think this is a point of refocusing what this team needs to do, what they need to be better at to be a Super Bowl caliber team. It starts with Allen, and I have faith that he can figure it out because at this point it does feel like he's trying to do too much.
Yeah, and he said that's something that he's always struggled with. Yeah. And what do they say here? Do your 111th.
Yes.
He has that tendency to want to do more. Josh isn't going to change. This thought of playing smarter, not conservative, is something that took Josh Allen two superstar caliber quarterback.
Correct.
It was doing the little things consistently. It's not being bored by the 4-yard completions. Josh is that gunslinger. There's not a throw that he doesn't think he can make.
Yeah.
He's not going to turn into Captain Checkdown all of a sudden because he threw a couple of interceptions, and nobody wants him to do that. It's just being smarter. These are things I think that Josh Allen, when he looks back at the film and goes, that was...
Doy doy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to make that play. So, again, I don't think there's a reason to panic. I'm going to get into play calling and more of the idea of that possibly tomorrow here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. So be sure, again, to like, comment, and subscribe. As for this 2-game losing streak, it's only the third one the Bills have had in the last 3 seasons. But Von Miller, 12th year in the league. I don't know if you knew that. He's also a fan of Myles Garrett, if you didn't know that
and
either.
Mulberry,
yeah.
The Italian restaurant in Buffalo.
But he had some always perspective, as he always does.
He does. And he talked about how the football gods are always watching, and they see how you react after a win, and they see how you react after a loss, and that karma, in his eyes, comes out. And that will be reciprocated down the line in how you act.
Yep.
He also talked about how, he was asked about Sean McDermott and what he's seen from him, because McDermott has been criticized in the past. And he said, I think McDermott there's Super Bowl caliber before you even win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're a championship caliber before you're a champion.
Yes, and he talked about how McDermott has those qualities. But we loved the football gods are always watching.
Yes, great. Another soliloquy sermon by Von Miller again on Wednesday. What really stood out to me, what stood out to me was also the fact of. I lost it.
That's okay. We gotta keep going.
Yeah, no, we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that Mike and I talked after the game. Good thing you didn't click off this video because we're still going. Von said he had fun, and Mike and I, that rubbed us the wrong way. To come out and see Josh as despondent and as upset as he was, and Von to come out and say, I had fun, was one of those things. Von said he doesn't accept losing. It's just the fact that he knows through his experience, 12 years in the league, that this team has what it takes to get out of it. Yeah. And so I think Von noticed after the game that those comments may have come across wrong.
Yeah.
And for him to come out today and say, hey, I'm not saying I'm having fun losing. That's not it. It goes, that was just a wild game, as you guys saw. So one other guy that was back at practice is a big one, and that is
Jordan Poyer. That was huge seeing him out there today. He was a full participant in practice. He's obviously missed the last 2 games dealing with that elbow injury. Hurt it in the second half against the Packers. We can't talk enough about what Poyer means to this team. And just to have him back and what he can add to that secondary and just the defense in general, just a huge positive sign going forward. Yeah, and weather is another sign moving forward. Hunkering down here in Western New York, we're talking feet of lake effect snow coming in starting Thursday, supposedly leading up until we don't know. Now listen, national people are talking about 6 feet of snow. Scott Heska will always tell you, listen to your local meteorologist, and they are predicting. Just like listen to your local sportscasters.
Yeah, maybe 2 and change amount of feet, and it could stop before the game. So a lot is still to be decided. We're filming this on Wednesday. We know it's going to be snowing, but the players were joking around about the fact that Josh and Sean McDermott were saying that some of these rookies have never driven in the snow. That they go, we got ice scrapers for their cars. They don't got brushes.
Living in Western New York for as long as I've lived here, it's second nature. You know how to drive in snow. But some of these guys, they really haven't seen snow. They really haven't driven in snow. So how are they going to prepare to play in snow?
To get to the facility to practice. Sean McDermott says they do have a contingency plan in place behind the scenes if they can't get into the facility, if they can't get into the hotel room. Yeah. All those things. So
he even joked.
We getting kicked out?
No. I was just saying, I had a point.
Oh.
I was just saying
getting kicked out.
No, I was even saying McDermott was joking about how you take it back about how friendly neighbors might have to use snowmobiles to get everyone to the stadium. But this is the type of planning that Sean McDermott and his staff will have to do because this could be an issue. It brought up reminiscing about the 2017 Snow Globe game, against the Colts. Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback. He will be the quarterback on Sunday for the Browns. Excuse me. That was a fun game. Both Dan and I were at that game.
Was it fun?
I loved it. Our camera, we weren't working together. Dan was at the competitors. Sorry, side eye. But I'm kidding. Our cameras like weren't working because it was snowing so hard.
Yep.
But it was great. Dan was very upset because he couldn't work.
Yes, because I couldn't work. Jenna was very excited that she didn't have to work.
Yeah.
And that she could just blame it on the weather. Yeah, it was a wild game. I thought Sean McDermott said that he had the best personality coming out. He was asked about what he remembers about it. He says he remembers walking into the tunnel after warm-ups and then walking back out of the tunnel to come down for the game. And he looked down at the head of security next to him and goes, "Is this normal?" And the guy goes, "No." And he goes, Sean said, "I didn't even have time to say, what do you mean? Like, go on," because it was dumping inches upon inches of snow per hour. So wild scene there. We will track the weather. We will keep you up to date. We have Buffalo Plus Live on Thursday.
We will not track the weather.
We will relay more weather information to you as the weekend goes on. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Buffalo Plus Live on Thursday. Tons more comments as always. What's so funny?
I'm just laughing at all the bloopers we have at the beginning.
This was a rough day. Rough day. All right, for Jenna, I'm Dan. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Rough.